Guys like watching wrestling because it's a drama for guys. But then again, if 5 wall posts say, put your face near their crotch. Yeah, that's exactly what I want to see. A whole bunch of Spider-Man crotch right in my face in blue tights. Fuck. Second one is a space grab. They kind of swing by, or they're flying by, and they see you and they scoop you up, and they're holding you by your pants. No, that's not degrading at all. This is my little corner of the world. I'm JRR. Let's have ourselves a fun little time, shall we? Hello once again, everyone. I go through the whole spiel, but I got an intro now, and that covers my basic spiel already, doesn't it? Today's topic is over god modding. What exactly is god modding? God modding comes in different forms. In a nutshell, god modding, however, is one of 2 basic definitions. 1. When another player has taken control of your character and is playing your character for you. This is usually done by characters that want to rape other characters, or by others who are trying to mind control people without the ability of mind control, or things of many reasons. There's many reasons, and there's many different things that kind of throw it off into a weird fickle zone. However, that's just one example of god modding. Another example, which is more peaceful, is, well, no, I take that back. The first example can be peaceful. Let's give an example that I received in an inbox from M. Like I said, I don't give names. Pretty much, when he said, okay, we're going to do this, and someone introduced themselves by running into his character and kind of bumping him off to the side, and then speaking how he was supposed to react. This wasn't how things were supposed to be. Before you send a starter of any type, you don't want to really make contact with the other character, because for all you know, they may not be there. Some characters don't show up in certain situations, like Il Palazzo from Excel Saga. If you say you meet him on the street, just walking around, that doesn't make sense. A person who was playing Iron Man kind of pointed out to, I think it was someone who was playing a different character, but she was trying to get to his building, and she said she got entrance, but he informed her after that going, no, you wouldn't have. If anything was a metahuman, there were systems in place. That wasn't god modding. She was trying to god mod, but he stopped it quick and clarified with the person going, no, this wouldn't happen. Like M said, someone bumped into his character, and he was like, I wasn't even remotely thinking of being on this part of the street. Why would I walk in the street in the first place? Let alone get bumped into. Especially if someone is highly combative, a bump could be misinterpreted as an attack. Just meaning the person had no actual power behind it, but you see the problem. When you god mod, you throw things out of whack to where other characters don't really want to immediately deal with you. The other version of god modding is the more traditional version, where 2 people will be fighting, boom, 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 and one person will either go for immediate death kill out of nowhere, it just makes no sense, or the other person would just ignore the attack. What do I mean by ignore the attack? Well, let's say Bob the Liquor Fairy shows up, and he raffle punches, say, Goku. Well, if you don't have a power level number, half the time you cannot confirm or deny if you can ignore it. However, if you recall, for those of you who are actually Dragon Ball enthusiasts, watcher, guys, whatever, Broly took hits early. Like the first time he met Goku, he took hits. Granted, he kind of smirked about it and all that, but he was still bleeding. There's still a little injury, like a split lip or whatever, but again, there's still an injury. Later on, during one of the fights, Goku tries his Kamehameha wave, Kamehameha, the blast, and as the blast hits, Broly continues to walk his happy ass through the beam, pops his head out in front of it, and just decks Goku again. That would be more considered God modding, where he just pretty much ignored everything that happened to him and just pressed on to do what he was going to do. With that being said, you have the two versions of God modding, and like I stated, the peaceful version, it's just something simple. Usually, it's something simple. It's like, this wouldn't happen, my character doesn't like being in crowded areas, and yet you're going to start, you're going to send me a starter where we're in a crowded area. That doesn't make sense. Doesn't add up at all. As you can tell, before you send a starter, try and find out what is going on. My character, Laser, he goes with stars. He just kind of rolls with it. The reason being is because I can understand that some people need to have a little bit more of an advantage. If the person sets the setting and has their own little storyline in mind, then I'll happily have Laser walk along with them to keep it nice and even. However, if you come up out of nowhere and your starter chops his head off, one, I don't know the location. You could be in the middle of a church. Yeah, that would make perfect sense now, wouldn't it? So you see, God modding is it's one of those things that if you're not careful, it would cause you a lot of problem. A lot of problem. And most people get called God modders immediately in fights because people just ignore things. Again, if it's not in the character info, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. So, the summary of this little heads up is, before you really react to anything, think about your reaction, okay? Think about it. See if it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, or if you think if someone did it to you and you call them a God modder, then obviously there's something wrong with the picture. Now, isn't there? The whole thing about role-playing that people don't seem to understand is, if you do something and people react a certain way to it, and yet you're going to sit there and keep doing it, and multiple people react the same way, that should tell you something. It really should. However, some people don't tend to understand things. They just don't. Why? I don't know. I really don't know. I couldn't tell you. I think about it and I get nothing. Let's just say it this way. If you, or at least in textual play, if you do something, think about how if someone else does something. If they do the exact same thing you do, and you would sit there and call them a God modder for it, we have ourselves a problem, don't we? Now, also keep in mind, if you have a known character and very well known attacks, and you make a mistake of not finishing the attack, don't freak out on other people. Because you haven't finished your attack. You can still turn and aim and fire. Or you can do whatever you can to re-aim. But if you do not finish your attack, aka, if someone's trying to do a Kamehameha, and they do Kamehameha, and they don't do the ha and throw it, then it's obvious they haven't attacked. They're building the little power thing up, and there's like lights and all this happy stuff, but they have yet to attack. That's like saying, I'm going to do a Hadouken, and then go Hado, and then you stop. It does nothing. It's just there. So with that in mind, please people, before you go and call people God modders, see what you done first. See what you did. If you did something that looks like it's God modding, and they're reacting accordingly, then you might want to consider taking a step back, in reconfiguring things. Simple as that. If you have to control someone else's character at any point in time, like M's example of someone bumping into him on the street and he wouldn't even be in that location in the first place, then yeah, there's a problem. There's a major problem right there. I guess all I'm trying to tell you guys is realize what you're doing, think about what you're doing, and before you do it, consider all the options, okay? If you're walking through, someone hits you with a dagger, and you're like, oh, nope, never hit by it, then that makes no sense. But if someone throws a dagger at you, and they throw the dagger at you, and you react to dodge, and it makes a degree of sense, then okay, no problem. God modding also has what is considered instant hits, where a person will go on about a paragraph worth, which is a paragraph of stuff, where they're beating, hitting, striking, and they're assuming all their hits connect. Apparently, they take into account your character will not move or dodge, or cannot move or dodge. Again, this is classified as God modding because they are controlling your character. That would be like, in text roleplay, that would be Gohan from the start of Dragon Ball Z, having paragraph after paragraph of whooping the hell out of Broly. Yeah, power level of less than 1,000 is whooping the shit out of a legendary Super Saiyan. What? No. It would probably be closer to Videl fighting Broly in that case, where she would hit him and he would technically God mod, but the only difference in God modding for Dragon Ball Z terms is power level. Since they are based highly on power level, they explain a lot of their God modding through power level. Example, if someone has like 5 million for battle power or for power level, if they have 5 million and they're fighting someone who has 50, and that's their max, 50, then guess who's going to win this one? 5 million or the 50? Chances are 5 million is going to win because the 50 cannot hurt him. So, take that as you will. Since everyone doesn't have power levels, well, they technically do, but since everyone doesn't follow the Dragon Ball universe for power levels, especially in text roleplay, please keep that in mind. For those of you who are in the Dragon Ball Z universe, tone it down a notch. If you're playing with, say, Dead or Alive girls, or guys, or whatever, tone it down a little bit. Tone it down. I'm not saying, okay, become a weakling or anything, but understand what you're doing, okay? That's all I'm saying. Understand exactly what you are doing before you do it. I'll give you one more example before I hop off. Laser knows a different girl who's Kasumi, but she got married to Goku. Granted, this would throw the canon all over the frickin' place, but they've adapted to each other a little bit to where they have a midway point. Why the midway point? Because it makes things fair and even for everyone else. As opposed to just freaking out and saying, oh no, we can't do this. No, they've adjusted. Most of their friends have adjusted with them, which is great. That shows text role players who actually stopped, thought about it, talked to each other on how to even it out, and it worked well. See, I don't have all bad stories. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that will be our time. I thank you. And again, before any god modding happens, and before you call anyone a god modder, have them look at what they've done. Have them look at what they've done, and ask them if you would do that back to them, would they consider you a god modder? It's just that simple. It'll help put things in perspective for everybody. Alright? This is, well, JRR signing off. So, I guess we go with a nice, happy good night, everybody! Or something like that. Later.